it's time to create our employees list. So here is where we're going to create that employees list. So what we'll do is we'll start a simple table here, and inside that table we will add some employees. Those are like dummy employees for now, and then we'll create a model through which the user will be able to add more details. So first let's create that list. Let's get back to our code. We are in the employees list.html, and if you remember, we created this call md8, and this is where we are going to create our employees list. So the first thing what we're going to do is we're going to use a div.card. Then we'll give some shadow. I'm going to call this as shadow shadow.sm. So we want like a smaller shadow, that is shadow-sm. We'll remove all the borders from it. So I'm going to set that to border 0, and then we'll give the margin bottom as 3. Now let's hit tab. That's going to add the card, and then let's create the header. I'm going to say div.card header, and for this actually we want the background to be in dark, so I'm going to say text pg dark, and we want the text to be aligned in center, so I'm going to say text center, and inside this we're going to give a text called this as employees list. Okay, so save that. And right after this header, what we want is, let's see how that looks. Let's get back to our browser, and you can see that we have employees list. That's the card header, and we want the table to list down over here. So let's get back to our code, and what we'll do is we'll create a table. It's a table, and give a class called table, and we want a smaller table, so I'm going to call this table sm. And I'm going to also add the SM class, small class, that's going to make the text even smaller. And we want the table to be bordered. So it's a table bordered. And we want all the contents to be aligned in middle. And we don't want the spacing for the table. Okay, so let's save that. Let's get back to the browser. We don't see anything yet. So if I change this, let's say if I cut this, if I save this, if I get back here, you can see that we get that extra spacing. That is the table spacing. So that's the reason we need this MB0. So if we add that, we won't get that extra spacing there. So inside this, the first thing, we need the table row. And for this, we'll give a class called table secondary. Okay, and inside this, we're gonna add some headings. The first one is gonna be an ID, and the second one is going to be employee ID, and the third one is going to be name, and then we want email ID, then we need like details, then we need edit, and then we need delete. Let's see how that looks. If I get to the browser, you can see that looks pretty neat now. Okay, so we don't have much space for the email ID. So what we can do now is we can actually change this. So instead of calling it as call MD8, call this as call MD10, and that's gonna get more space. So if your screen is larger, you can use different breakpoints for that. Okay, so the next thing what I need is the first employee. So let's get back to our code, and right after this tr, we'll create another tr, and we'll add the details for our first employee. That is TD. So the ID is 1. The employee ID, I'm going to call this as 741. I'm going to call the name as John Doe. And we'll give it an email ID. I'm going to call this as johndoe@gmail.com. And now is the tricky part, because we need the buttons. So basically what I need here is a full width button, which is going to fit inside that table cell. So if I just create like a simple button, that's going to have a lot of spacing around it. So by creating a full width button, we will eliminate all those extra spaces. Let's create that. For that, we'll create a div.dgrid, and inside that, we'll create a anchor tag with hash. And actually we need more details here, so I'm going to break this. The next thing, and it is a class called btn, btn, sm, say btn primary. And basically, if I click on this, we need a details button. So we're going to add some model effect to this. Okay, so let's create that effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in some model details. So we'll say data ps toggle. I'm going to set that to model. And then we want data ps target to be employee detail. And inside this, we're going to call this as details. Let's save that. Let's see how that looks. If I get to the browser, you can see that now we have this details button. The next thing what we need is a edit button. So let's get back over here, and we're just going to copy this entire TD and just paste it over here. And this is going to be warning, and we will change the details to edit, and this is going to be edit. Let's save that. I'm just going to copy this again and paste it over here, and this is going to be danger, and this is going to be delete. So oops, I just want to edit this one, so that is delete. Save that, and here I'm going to call this as delete. Save that. If I get to the browser, you can see that we have the employee ID, the name, the email ID, the details, edit, and button. So if I click on this, nothing's going to happen yet because we still need to add like the models and stuff. So we're going to add the models and stuff like in further classes. For now, let's just create some more of it. So here, what we can do is we can just collapse this thing, just copy this, paste it 2, 3, and 4. So we'll have like some listed to show. Okay, so these are the details. So for now, we have everything is a duplicate, but in real time, what's going to happen is like the user will be adding some real-time data, like real data over there. So you don't have to worry about all those extra repeating stuff here.